Nate Davis is back and Luke Getsy is seeing improvement. We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Luke Getsy spoke to the media ahead of practice today and talked about a couple of different things. Number one of which being Nate Davis is at OTAs this week. Good to see everybody getting involved in the participation of OTAs. And, you know, he talked about kind of why it was important to see those guys there. And yes, he did mention that, listen, people have things going on in their personal lives. They have things they have to take care of. This is all voluntary at the end of the day, right? Like that's what they keep going to. But he did talk about, you know, coming in here and building that comfortability with the offensive line, building that familiarity and building those relationships that we talk about a lot of times being the things that lead you on a championship type run. Not to say the Bears are going to be on that level of run this season, but you know, it starts here. I know that we look at OTAs as it doesn't matter. It's not really that important. It's not that big of a deal if guys miss, but usually the times where you hear teams have these, you know, big runs or come together as a force in the NFL, it usually starts in the beginning of the season on that first year. And the Bears have a lot of different pieces in this lineup this year, Nate Davis being one of them. It's good to have him back in general, just because to me, I think the most important thing here is that, you know, I was worried about him being able to slot in with the guys that are with him. Cody Whitehair didn't play center last season. How's he going to fit in with Nate Davis? To the right side of him is Darnell Wright, who's a rookie. It'd be nice to see those guys kind of get a familiarity in here early and not have to take that into training camp where that's something you're working on. And when you get the training camp, you can just hit the ground running. Listen, we already know what our protection is. We know how to step. We know where our feet are going to be. Boom, we're just going to hit the ground running. So good to have Nate Davis here for this last week, or for this week of training camp, I should say, and or of training camp, of OTAs. And it's going to be a good thing to me to get him in there and get him that work. I mean, like at the end of the day, we want to see how these guys look. Realistically, is it going to cost the Bears any losses if Nate Davis is not at OTAs? It's not. But you just want to see what your newly signed free agent acquisitions look like. And I think that goes down to the coaches, right? I think the coaches want to see how Nate Davis slots in with this team, how he slots in with Justin Fields protection, all of that. The good thing that we've heard, by the way, we do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about Nate Davis returning? Do you think that he should have been there the whole time? The whole 9 yards? Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. The other thing, though, that does get me very excited when we're talking about Luke Getsy is the fact that he spoke on where he's seen improvement with this Bears team early on, because I think that, right, like, we always want to, we found this, we see how this fits in, how this slates in, but realistically, right, it's OTAs, and at the end of the day, you're not going to get a whole lot. These guys are just trying to get themselves back in shape. They're trying to get basic scheme things underway, figure out how we're going to run this, what calls are this, blah, blah, blah. They're not setting up a ton of stuff just yet, but Luke Getsy still talked about how the offense has shown improvement already, particularly the offensive line. Let's just listen in to what Luke had to say on this Bears offensive line.
Progress. Well, what's a good example of something you're seeing out there now that you didn't see a year ago that illustrates how much progress this offense has made?
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, geez, you could just probably take the protection game in the beginning part of it, right? How quickly the guys are adjusting, because the defense is giving us looks that we're not preparing for, right? So usually go into game and you're preparing for particular fronts, particular pressures, particular whatever, like, and so we're just trying to play by our rules, and we're trying to learn the reason whys and then react the way that we need to accordingly. And so those guys. seeing how quickly they're responding from where they were last year has been really good. And then just the way that our meetings go, right? If you talk about just the conversations that we have in the meetings, as opposed to talking about, why this concept's named what it is, we're talking about the details of and diving deeper into what it is. And so, those two things are probably the two things that stand out.
Part of the out of left field question.
So, you hear there, right, talking about the details, talking about guys coming in and the protection scheme that's already in place. I really like the fact that we're seeing these strides from this offensive line because of the scheme that is being thrown at them defensively, right? Like they're sitting there telling you, listen, we're not preparing for this. Like, we're just going out there and we're just going through the motions. And all of a sudden, right, like it seems like this offensive line is giving the Chicago Bears more of an opportunity early on here to make some of those throws, get down the field, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is not the end of the day, end of the world type of thing, but it is good to hear that Luke Getsy is already seeing an improvement in the protection that this Bears team had coming into this year. And when you look at the changes that this offensive line has shown this season, right? I mean, like, you've got basically your left side of your line is the same as last season, but that right side, two new guys in there. So you're going Darnell Wright on the left side, Nate Davis in there Darnell Wright on the right side, Nate Davis in there at that right guard position. Cody White here, of course, going to be playing some center. Good to see him back in that spot. Tevin Jenkins, and then you go with Braxton Jones at your left guard. You can see where the upgrade is there, but it's always good to see that kind of hit the field and hear that early on, that this team really is showing some flashes of being able to handle protections that they weren't preparing for, right? And now when you're taking preparation into account, when you're looking at the long term of what this team can be, I think that that's going to change a lot of how this Bears team is going to be able to operate this season. Again, you look at Justin Fields last season, right? And I think that, 55 sacks, he was second, I believe, in the NFL in sacks alone. How's that going to improve his game? Now, again, every play is not on him. There's still going to have to be that improvement from Justin that's going to have to come. Every play is not on the offensive line. There's still going to have to be that improvement from Justin that's going to have to come. He's going to have to up his game. He's going to have to improve his game. He's going to have to take that next step and get to that next level. But it is good to hear at a minimum that right now, right before anything is prepped, before anything is, we're going in and we're actually scouting out other teams, that they're already seeing an improvement in the protection of the quarterback. And I think that will have an impact moving forward through this season. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. How do you feel about the Chicago Bears offensive line upgrades? To me, I think that that's probably the one thing that all of a sudden I feel good about a Bears offensive line. I can't say that I felt good about a Bears offensive line probably in, we talk about back in when Jay Cutler was playing, right? Like, I felt 100% confident. I felt like this offensive line was going to be dominant. And not saying that I think that this is going to be the end all be all, but I think, to me, when I look at this offensive line paired with Justin Fields' ability to move that pocket, to be able to extend plays, to be able to make plays with his legs, now I'm talking about an offensive line where I don't have to have the best names at every position for you to be successful. I just have to have really good names or good names at those positions, and Justin Fields can make magic out of something. As long as the pressure, I believe, up front isn't in his face right away, you're going to see a different Justin Fields this season. That's my biggest hope, right? I think that's the biggest difference. You're not dealing with Sam Mustipher, who was getting run over or just was blocking nobody, play in and play out. I think that now with Cody White here back at center, that's going to be an adjustment. Cody talked about that as well, how, putting him back at the center position and letting him know early in the season so that he can mentally prepare himself for that, so he can get his snap count back right, so him and Justin Fields can work on snapping the football back and forth. I think that again, I talked about this ad nauseum with this team. Everybody knows the position they're playing, and they're coming into the season with a preparation and a focus on the things that are going to make them great at that position. That is going to be a game changer for the Bears this season. That's why I think the Bears are going to have more success than people think. But hey, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. How do you feel the Chicago Bears offensive line is going to fare this season? Do you like that you're hearing in OTAs that they're already showing improvement? I'll be down in the comments talking with you guys as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Bears content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.